unlike those funny gambits that I show you in my other videos. This video is all about the main theoretical lines that strong players use against the Scotch gambit, the Ruy Lopez, and even in the two knights defense. So this is one video that prepares you for a serious classical tournament or other serious OTB games. Stay tuned, and first let me show you what super grandmasters play. I mean the middle game strategies that they use against the Scotch gambit and the Scotch game. So after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and pawn to d4, well, the main line to consider is e takes d4. And against the Scotch gambit, which is bishop c4, your plan is very simple: to put your dark squared bishop on a5 like this, that's all, and continue developing normally. Your king's knight will most likely sit on e7, and then you will castle short after playing pawn to h6. For example, beginning with bishop b4 check, they are going to play c3, you take, simplifying the game, then bishop a5, that's all. If knight g5, you will play knight h6, and that's it. If pawn to e5 for some reason, maybe not wanting you to go knight to f6, well, you have knight ge7, and on the next move you're going to castle short. So this is what to do against the Scotch gambit: just to go bishop b4 check and bishop a5 after exchanging pawns on c3 instead of bishop c4. What I recommend to do against the Scotch game where white takes on d4 is to simply go bishop c5, that's it. All your problems are over. By the way, knight takes c6 doesn't work. You don't even have to take with your d pawn, you just go queen f6, and you are just having a normal game here. Again, your g knight will sit on e7 someday. By the way, you are threatening to mate white on f2, so on the next move you're just going to capture white's knight on c6 and develop your knight on e7 and castle short. If white doesn't take your knight on c6 and instead try to complicate matters, again just go queen f6. Remember, your king's knight will sit on e7, that's what you want to do. Again, they have no time to take on c6, they'll play pawn to c3, but you just develop your knight like I said. Again, if knight takes c6, you don't have to worry about this knight. It's in your territory. Just take the bishop intending to checkmate on f2. If fe, this is when you take the knight on c6. So instead of knight takes c6, again, if white plays bishop c4, just castle short. I mean, you just avoided tons of theories. In this line, they'll just castle short. Now that there is no queen takes f2 checkmate supported by your dark squared bishop, this is when you realize that your dark squared bishop is not supported by any piece. So this is when you play bishop b6, and now your bishop is safe. If knight takes c6, you can just take back with your pawn and next play knight g6, and with perfect play this can be anyone's game. Anyways, let me show you what super grandmasters play against the Ruy Lopez, and I hope you are going to appreciate. Alright, so e4, e5, then white plays knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, s6 the main line. Bishop takes c6 may lead to the bishop's version of the fishing pole trap after white castles short, and then you play bishop g4, h3, then you go h5, and if they take, well, lucky you, cause now you can simply mate white on h1 using your queen and not your fingers, e.g. f4, pawn to g3, ensuring that the white king does not escape, so that you can simply mate on h1 after this sequence of moves. But let's say if white doesn't take on c6 and they play the main move bishop f4. The move that I'm interested in today is bishop e7. They will castle short, by the way, that's the main line. You go knight f6. Playing simple chess, here you're just planning to castle short. Again, if they take on c6, you just simply take back with your d pawn. Knight takes e5 doesn't work, even in this position, because we always have knight takes e4 first. Rook e1 won't even pin our knight. Just know that you still have queen d4, which attacks white's knight on e5. By the way, if knight f3, the best we can do is to take on f2 with our queen and then rescue our knight later on, maybe to f6, followed by bishop e6, castle long or castle short. If pawn to d3, counter-attacking your knight, well, just go knight takes f2, which is even better. And I was surprised in one of my games to see my opponent playing queen h5 here. I mean, trying to do something to my f7 pawn. I don't know. The correct move here was supposed to be queen e2 and then allowing me to rescue my knight somehow. I don't know. Anyway, so queen h5 was clearly a blunder, you guys. And there is something here. The game is almost over. This is your puzzle for today, you guys. Leave your answers in the comment section down below. and I'll be reading all of them. Alright, let's move on. Instead of white taking on c6, the main line here which we are going to see is rook e1. Castling short here is not good because white can just take your knight and win your pawn on e5 next. So you have to start with pawn to b5. Pawn to b5 makes more sense. They play bishop b3, and that's when you can now castle short because this bishop was eyeballing the weak f7 square or the f7 pawn. And here c3 is what they are going to play, preparing to play pawn to d4. I'm only showing you what people play here, not things coming straight from my mind, by the way. So just go d6 here. If pawn to h3, you can play in a symmetrical way here. Rook e8, d4, that's what they'll play. Don't be scared about this move. Just go pawn to h6. If they take, you can always take back with your pawn. If they play pawn to d5, knight b8, knight d7, knight f8, and knight g6, this is how your queen's knight is going to move. Anyway, so you will see them playing knight b2 here. Bishop f8 is a really great move because it paves way for our rook and our queen. And let's say they go knight f1, they are also trying to open up their position. Bishop d7 is what you play here. They'll play knight g3. So in this position, the first active piece that I can see for white here is this bishop on b3. That's why knight a5 looks very delicious to me. This will force white's pieces to start going backwards. Bishop c2. So now it is white's pieces that will start becoming passive. Okay, that's how we try to gain an advantage. So that's the lesson here. Let me show you what super grandmasters play in the normal two knights defense Italian variation, where white starts with e4, you go e5, knight f3, knight c6, and after bishop c4, you go knight to f6, normal stuff. Knight f6 is the key move here because it forces white to play d3, delaying his c3, d4 ideas. In case of knight g5, you can watch my complete two knights defense video that has popped up in the card above after watching this. So d3 is the top played move in the Masters database. That's what people play. After d3, you go bishop c5 because you just want to castle short, right? If they castle short, you don't want to do the same. In the Italian game, you want to delay castling as long as you can. That's secret number one. Just go d6. If they play h3 or c3, whatever, now this is when you go queen e7. You can see the same idea once again. So you replaced castling short with queen e7. You're doing all these things to invite bishop g5, which turns out to be a positional mistake in the long run, and queen e7 again carries with it the idea of exchanging bishops, since your queen can now recapture on e6. c3, you play s6. If d4, you can retreat your bishop. Again, if white takes, you can take back on e4 while maintaining your pawns without having to worry about queen takes d8 once again. But if white plays something else like rook e1, again, you don't want to cast short. You have all the time in this world to wait for this move. You simply go pawn to h6. If d5, your queen's knight will maneuver like this up to g6. These are all strategies, by the way, nothing to memorize. Bishop e3, it's up to you to go pawn to g5 if you want, or bishop d7, you are just delaying to castle short in order to gain initiative. D takes e5, d takes e5, bishop takes, knight takes, knight h2, bishop d7, you can castle long if you want to. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is playing queen e2 or queen e7 gives you more initiative to come up with more better plans, unlike just rushing to castle short. So I want you guys to start making use of this idea and you will see a lot of success in your chess career. I highly recommend that you check out my Gioco Pianissimo course, because that is another opening where you can play queen e2 and win so easily. In my Gioco Pianissimo course, I explained in detail how powerful queen e2 can be, and you will learn how to come up with these kinds of strategies that I just showed you in today's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this strategy, and please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, because that's the only way we can grow this together and encourage me to keep on making more wonderful videos just like this one. Until next time, bye bye.